Greg and Dan Show, WNBD, Greg Batten, Dan Peoria. We have a news story that we just told a little bit ago. Our guests might have not heard it, but just a report came out from the Department of Urban Development that this last year, homelessness is up an enormous number of people. Enormous number, up 12% from last year.
And there are a lot of different reasons. I know in San Francisco and some of those places, drugs and alcohol have to do it. I think a lot of it around here that's a very small amount. I think it's just bills and people, medical, and just things that pile up.
Well, Andy King has been running the Dream Center for how many years now, sir?
Over 20 years.
Man, that's crazy. Good to see you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Does that reflect here locally as well, homelessness up?
It absolutely is. I mean, in the last year, we've seen our numbers pretty much go up 30 to 40%.
Wow.
Yeah, so like we would normally be around 70 to 100 people in our shelter every night, which is women and children predominantly. That's the demographic. And we're hitting 120 to 160 every night. Now,
Dan mentioned San Francisco, a lot of drug use. What is the reasons that you see?
The biggest reason is you will have a single mom with a few kids move to Peoria for either a job or a boyfriend.
Okay.
That she will come here, and when she gets here, one or both fall apart. Yeah. So now, because she has moved to Peoria, the network that she had from where she was at is not here. So we become, at the Dream Center, that network to try and help that mom. It's the worst day of her life. When people come into the Dream Center, it's the worst day of their life.
You know, I always say on a number of fronts, it's not the breakdown of the family as much as it's the breakdown in a extended family.
Well,
because when I grew up, I mean, we had alcoholic this or uncles or cousins or whatever, and dysfunction in a family. That's always been there.
Yeah.
But you always had cousins and aunts and uncles to pick you up. And
Absolutely.
when you move here, you're without that safety net.
Yeah, and so that's what we see day in, day out.
How does one know? Let's focus on a woman. The woman has got 3 little kids. She moved here for a boyfriend. It all fell apart. She lost her job. How does she get to you? How do you normally find that woman, or does she find you?
Most of the time, they find us. Right now in Peoria, we're the only emergency shelter for women and children, so there is nowhere else, right?
Okay.
So,
do the police help with that?
Police help. I mean, we have a lot of midnight to 6, 7 a.m. where the police are bringing people.
No
they
kidding.
find them, like, we didn't know where to go. They get to us.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
And so when they do get to you, especially kids, they're pretty resilient. But after a couple of days, it's like, okay, are there toys? Are there games? Are there activities?
Yeah.
Is there, they need to still learn schooling. So do you provide all of that?
Yeah, so obviously the school district have a homeless division. So we have school buses coming to the Dream. I mean, literally, we'll have 40 to 50 kids being picked up every day from the Dream Center to go to school. So that part is taken care of. But then part of what we do at the Dream Center is we then have after-school programming. So young kids all the way to 18, we can try and bring a bit of normalcy to a child when it comes to homework, even learning different things. We have a trade school, carpentry, motor mechanics, to teach these kids different ways out of poverty when they're older. But that wraparound service we have at the Dream Center is really crucial to help those students really not go crazy. I mean, it's really tough.
And then what about mom? How do we help her? I really want to feel like, help me with this.
Yeah.
But I want to feel like that mom is just lost. She's not a bad person.
Right.
She's just a lost person. She's here now in a town, as you say, but doesn't know a lot of people or maybe no one. And so she turns to you for help. What do we do for her?
Well, I mean, I can only go by what we do, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for us is obviously we have caseworkers and different people at the Dream Center. And it's just finding out what that lady, or we have father and dads as well, right?
Sure,
but what she's good at, where does she want to be? Is Peoria where she wants to be? If not, okay, then how do we get her back to where she came from?
Does that happen?
And that happens. And we have people who donate just for that, so we can get people back to where they need to get to, right? But like yesterday, there was a mom that we helped. We've been helping her for many, many, many months, and it was a single mom with 8 kids. Wow. And we were able to get a house. We work with different other agencies like Phoenix and other agencies.
Right.
The great thing about Peoria is it's not territorial, right? There is a lot of organizations. We work very closely with Peoria Rescue Ministries, with Phoenix, because we know we can't do it on our own, right? We can help and really meet a need, but then we don't do everything. Right, but if we can
and
help,
like Peoria Rescue, they have their own specialties because I think they deal a little bit more with men.
Yeah,
and then and everyone else has their own little niche.
Yeah.
So that,
Think about the analogy there, the metaphor, whatever it is, of you can't do it alone. Neither can the person coming to ask for help.
Right.
None of us can do any of this alone. Right. I can't do this alone. Dana and I have to have each other. We have to have Caleb. We have to have this company.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But we sometimes, when we're judging other people, I think we sometimes say, "Well, just do it." Well, just well, no,
pull yourself together.
Yeah, get yourself together.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it by themselves. Nobody. And so, good for everybody in this community for doing all that. We're talking with Andy King of the Dream Center. Yes, sir.
Have you found? Okay, we brag on this, but other people who have moved into town have said the same thing. That this area prides itself on being per capita one of the most giving communities that they've ever been around. Have you found that?
Absolutely. I mean, Dream Center wouldn't be around if people didn't give generously. I mean, this time of the year for most nonprofits, it's a hard time. As in, for us, for instance, 30% of our yearly budget comes in December. Right. So it's one of those things where, we're always white knuckling in December, but yet we always see people step in, and this area has been incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So for people, some of these moms who want to stay, I mean, you kind of have to on the spot do a psychological evaluation, but if they really want to try, there's people needing workers.
Yeah.
Are you hooking them up?
Absolutely. We have a strong network of different organizations and businesses that are looking for people work-wise as well. And, we're right next to the hospitals, so there's always different positions there, not just nurses, Right. And so there's like 2 to 3 tiers that we have at the Dream Center. Yes, people are going to come into the homeless shelter. That's like the doorway into Dream Center world for that area. But then we have 21 apartments within our building that we know, just because we've been doing this now for a long time, that if we can transition one of those ladies into the village, we call it the village, those apartments, then 97% never go back to homelessness.
Wow.
That's our
That's
stats.
an unbelievable number.
Yeah. And so our goal is to get them into the village, because we know that the cycles can really be broken there. Wow. Then we're able then to go to different, because we don't charge anyone to be in those apartments, but we tell them, okay, you're now earning well, you're doing good, it's time to move to an apartment or housing, that type of thing.
So what is it about the village, those apartments? Is it in their minds, hey, we finally got a break, we got opportunity, we actually have a roof over our heads, we don't want to give this up and screw this up? Is that kind of the attitude? Yeah.
And independence, right? When you're in the shelter, I mean, this year alone, we fed 157,000 meals in our shelter and all the programs we do, but especially the shelter, right? But we're telling everyone when they've got to eat, when they've got to go to bed. When they go to the village, it's a little bit more independent. Yes, we have caseworkers. Yes, we have curfew type of stuff, but we are definitely saying to them, we want you to succeed in life. Here's some tools of how you do that.
And the person you talked about earlier who's going to be moving to a home, what monitoring will they have, or are they out on their own now?
Our caseworkers try to keep in touch with those, because obviously everyone isn't ready to just jump into a home.
Yeah, that's a big
right?
deal.
It's a big deal. So
Yeah.
our caseworkers are definitely there checking in, and other organizations as well. You know, for instance, if it's through Phoenix, they're going to have people that will help, right?
Right.
So it just varies on the individual, because some people are like, they're in the village for 3 to 6 months, and by 3 or 4 months they are ready. It may be a single lady that doesn't have kids, and she's ready to
hit it.
go.
Yeah. So as you reflect on this 2023 year, obviously the need is much greater. 30% in homelessness. What are you most proud of?
I think for us, our staff and the way that they've had to adapt with the crowds, right? I mean, it's tough. I mean, the middle of summer, we were hitting 150 plus every night for about 4 or 5 weeks, which is, so there's no breather. You know, normally there's like a family will leave and...
Yeah, you get a little space.
Yeah. But when you have, say, 3 or 4 families with 5 or 6 kids come in all together. So I think our staff have been huge this year, and volunteers stepping up and helping as well.
Do people ever come back? They start out as somebody that you're serving, and then become part of your team.
Yeah, I wanted to know that. Or what are they? Salvation Army. Major Heath calls them trophies of grace.
Trophies of grace.
But do you have people who are successful who come back to volunteer, or just come back to say hi or help in whatever way?
Yeah. So the gal who runs our whole housing department is a gal who 25, 26 years ago, when it was the Y, was living in her car with her 2 kids in the parking lot at the Dream Center.
Oh my gosh.
She came in, she went through the program, and when the YWCA, closed and we took on the programs, I asked her to stay, and she was like, I am done with non-profits. I don't want it, because she lost everything, because she had retirement over the years built up, and she lost everything. I said, I need you for 1 month just to help. We haven't run a homeless shelter before. Yeah. And she's still there.
And how long ago was that? 20 years ago?
We took it over about 16 years ago.
16,
that part.
part.
But then her son, who was 4, is now our second in charge guy over all our maintenance.
That's cool.
So we got the 2 family members, and we've had many others.
Yeah.
But so I mean, huge success. And the beauty about those 2 around the Dream Center is when someone says, you don't know what it's like. She can turn and say, let me tell you. Because the hard thing is, the reality is, the average age in our homeless shelter is 9 years of age. So it's a young crowd. So we want them to know that this isn't going to be what it is for the rest of their life.
Well, on behalf of all of us, thank you for you and your staff doing all the things you do.
Thank you.
How can we help you?
I mean, this time of year, just really helping financially is a big thing.
Go to the website?
Yeah, website, dreamcenterpeoria.org, and there's a give button.
All right. It's good to see you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you.